giving a voice to the voiceless. We share the stories behind our freedoms and the ultimate sacrifice of those who protect us all. This is Patriots Inside the Wire.
Someone who was willing to give his life for his country and served honorably in Iraq.
Signed our names with no regrets. Only wanted to be the best that we could be. And we wanted this and nothing more than to be true down to the core. We thought we'd live forever, but when the full moon is bright and the wind blows just right, I can hear your voice on the wind.
Sure was that I came back on the perfect day, but you know what? It's really more good.
21 guns into the night till we meet again on the other side. 21 guns, this is goodbye till we meet again on the other side. Yeah, 21 guns.
Beautiful thing to see the family and friends come together and honor his life and his service to our country. It's great to see you guys out here. This is awesome, really.
Welcome to the Patriots Inside the Wire broadcast, hosted by Gold Star mom, Tracy Two-Step.
Hey, how are you doing out there? This is Patriots Inside the Wire. We like to call it Warrior Wednesday. We actually have a great show, a surprise guest. Listen, when I say surprise, I mean it in multiple ways, okay? So I'm going to give you a second. Go grab your friends. Let people know. Please share this so that you are aware of what we are about to bring to you. So we have someone with us that I promise you're going to like this show. This show is going to bring to you not only ground zero information. When we're Patriots Inside the Wire, we support not just our military, but our patriots, our fire department, our police, our first responders, you name it. Our patriots, right? Ground zero to me is what kicked off my son joining the military. And you will hear that a lot. So tonight, we have a special individual with us from the, you know what? Go get your people, and I'm just going to bring them up. Thank you for joining Patriots Inside the Wire, and let's just do this. Here we go. And we've got our co-host here tonight, Mr. John Swat. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You know what, Tracy? I am really, really excited about our special guest tonight. I think his background speaks for itself. So I'm going to let you introduce him to everybody because y'all are going to want to get to know this person very well.
That's right. Start telling. Oh, hi, Brent. All right, everybody out there, Patriots Inside the Wire right now. Andrew, what would you like to go by tonight? You want me to say?
Well, yeah, you could just, the psychic firefighter or Andrew's fine. Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
It's all good.
All right, let's go with psychic firefighter. I love it. And if I say Andrew, it's because this person is a genuine individual that has a lot to offer. As you know, on Patriots Inside the Wire, you're in that safe zone when you're inside that wire. And what I know, and I'm going to let him tell you more about, when I say him, psychic firefighter Andrew, true story, his family, and what has happened since then. It's an incredible story. So again, share this, join us. We're glad you're all here. let's have a chat really quick. Psychic firefighter. Should we tell them how we met?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Ah, good. I'm
It's
guessing out there.
interesting with yeah, it's interesting today's day and age with technology and just being able to connect with people. What a gift, 20 years ago, there's nothing like this out there where you could actually see someone or even call someone and do Zoom or anything like this. And it's great when you are interested in things. It's so easy to connect with people, reach out to them, and then share this message, especially with topics like 9/11, going to war, being in combat. I served as well in the U.S. Coast Guard. I was in the late 90s, pre 9/11. It was a different world back then. And
Yeah.
it's just something I knew I wanted to do. And then for me, my life really, really changed significantly after 9/11 because at the time, my dad was a firefighter at Ground Zero when the attack happened. He was actually there when it happened, when the buildings fell and everything. And I'll get into that. It's a miracle that he's alive. My dad, just for people listening, some people might have heard of me, some people maybe not, but I worked as a firefighter in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, ladder 119. Before me, my dad worked in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, ladder 102, right, literally next firehouse over. And then my uncle Jerry also worked in ladder 102, my dad's same house, from 1954 to like 1980 something, just amazing generational family. That's just how it goes in my family. So it's a big
Yeah.
deal. It's a very prideful thing, to talk about this stuff and to go there. And
It is.
my dad, like I said, that morning, that life will just never be the same. If you guys are like, I can kind of branch out from there of kind of how this all happened.
Yeah. You know
Absolutely.
what? I say the less there is about me, we can talk about all that soon, but I like to hear you. I mean, I like to hear directly from the source, being there, knowing, and what you just said to me, it resonated. In my generational history, someone in every generation has served. So usually it's military, but there are other areas. And again, that's again why it's Pigeons Inside the Wire. It's very fitting. And so when I thought about it, I said, wait a minute. The best way to talk about the fire department, and the person that I have was like honored to get to know, Andrew. Andrew and your family. Can you tell me before I get into more how your dad and uncle and how your family is? How are you?
Yeah, so my uncle Jerry retired. He retired in the 80s. He lived a nice life. He just passed away about 2 years ago. So overall, health-wise, he lived a very long life. And I always say, if you do 20 years, if you work for the city, if you work for any big agency, if you at least do your 20, you better get your 20 after. You know what I mean? Ideally, of
Yeah.
course, it's always
Yeah.
nice. And much more. If you could live 30, 40 after, that's what we want to be hearing. We want to be hearing
Yeah.
you collecting that pension and doing your thing, traveling. So Uncle Jerry, he did that. He retired to Florida and he was working as a security guard. And then he got older. He got sick. He had diabetes. He got real sick, but he had a very
Yeah.
good life, kids, grandkids, all that stuff.
Wow.
And then my
Yeah.
dad retired too. My dad did 27 years. And after my dad retired, he went down to Florida. Same thing. He's down in Florida. He is healthy. Overall, thank God. Once
Yay.
again, day at a time, God willing, right now he is okay. However, we're at that point where a lot of the guys that he was in the trade center with that lived, those guys now are getting all these illnesses, or some guys recently retired. Some guys I know did 40 years on the 40 in the fire department. Some guys retired and passed away within a year from 9/11 cancer or illness. It's like a mystery. So I know I said my dad and my uncle. On the other side of the family, though, we have a ton of military, Navy. My Uncle John was a captain in the Navy, retired 22 years working on submarines. He lived a nice long life after, had a pension, worked for Lockheed. He passed away a few years ago, though. And then my Uncle Mike was a Marine. My Uncle Pete was in the Navy and the NYPD. My Uncle Pete was down at Ground Zero, retired. Unfortunately, Uncle Pete passed young. He was only, in his late 40s. He got some weird mystery illness. They don't have a name for it, but it was definitely acquired, they think, down at Ground Zero. This is really interesting. Uncle Pete was in the NYPD, and he was in the Navy, and he traveled all over the world with the Navy. He also played soccer.
Wow.
And
Oh,
Uncle Pete got this illness. Okay, they don't know exactly what it is, but a whole Italian soccer team and a lot of athletes also got this same thing. It basically mimics ALS. It's very similar, but it's not exactly that. Okay, but it basically, Uncle Pete's arm started to get affected. It didn't work as well, and then it just deteriorated and spread throughout his body. But they didn't have an actual name. No one could pinpoint and say, "Oh, it's definitely this. It's definitely that." But the common thing is that they were all down at Ground Zero, and then years later, these weird things come up. So if you're listening out there, whether you're active duty, retired, you just did a few years, make sure every year you're going to get your health checks, your medical exams. Okay, you got to do that stuff. Stay on top of it, because I know guys that had 20, 25 years healthy, 9/11, whatever, and then now all of a sudden they go from one year to the next and something comes out of nowhere. So whatever these things are, these illnesses down there, they can be very mysterious and they can creep up on you.
you just mentioned something. So I am giving your family thank you for serving, and those that have served, quite an extensive history there. That's just beautiful to have people like that do this. I mean, each year, each generation, you yourself, you're a veteran, fire department. And then again, as I refer to you, the psychic firefighter, um, you know, and eventually, we won't give a lot of back channel stuff, but eventually when you're in my neck of the woods, as we have said a long time ago, we plan to meet up. Um, Getting you on here, a couple of things, but you just mentioned something to me, and I'm usually not speechless. You said so. ALS is not genetic. Number one. Number two, there are people in my family right now, not directly next to me, but connected, and a brother and a sister just out of the blue. And they're like, well, it's ALS. Well, no, it's not mimicking that. It's not, doesn't seem like that. The only thing they have in common is they both live in New York. So that's the only thing in common right there, is this brother and sister. So shout out to them too. They're dealing with a lot right now. Dennis has passed, but now his sister, they're like ALS. I'm like, that's not genetic. Like how, and at that age. So we'll talk more about that subject maybe later on. That's very, very interesting. I 100% believe and know, just like at your fire pits, right? When you're deployed and you're doing certain things, you're around these fire pits, your lungs, there's all kinds of things that, there are civilians, there are people that just aren't used to that environment. And, we try to educate, and, they're not supposed to know. So then it's like, okay, let's step up. That's the area I'm in. When someone says, what do you mean Gold Star Mom? Did you get like a gold sticker? And I'm like, this is not a joke. Listen. And I don't get mad. I just turn around and I go, I just like to let you know something, because, maybe for the next person, you didn't offend me, but I bet you didn't even know. And so I just want to educate. So in order to do that, I have to talk and bring in other people. SWAT down here is very familiar with this subject happening quite a bit, as he served 2 tours as well in Iraq. And so the fire department, and then you led a different journey. You were at Ground Zero. Can you just do a brief synopsis somehow of the feeling that I have talked to you, that when you figured out this was going on, you knew it was your dad, correct? You knew they were there.
Yeah.
Right.
So when this happened at the time, 9/11, when that actually in that moment happened, just so people are listening, I was living way out east in an area called the Hamptons. I'm sure people have heard of the Hamptons at some point. And I was working. I had just finished my active duty in the U.S. Coast Guard, and now I was living out in the Hamptons, and I was working as an electrician for a Coast Guard veteran. So did the Coast Guard, and then after work for a guy, same thing. We just find each other, we stick with each other. You know how this stuff goes. So working with a guy out there, and I go to get breakfast, and I hear on the radio what's going on at Ground Zero. I'm listening to Howard Stern, and I hear a building hit the World Trade Center, and I thought, this is a joke. He must be pulling a stunt, because no way. This is impossible, right? Like, come on. And then I'm like, okay, this is serious. So I'm like, I need to call my dad. And I just had this gut feeling. I didn't even know if he was working. I had no clue. I just had this feeling. I said, he's there. I just had this feeling he's there right now. I don't know. I didn't know he was even working that moment. I go, but I know he's there. I just knew it. I had like a feeling, a vision, a quick flash. And of course you want to believe he's okay. You don't know for sure until you make that call. And making that call, if you're listening out there and you have a loved one that's away, or they're active duty, or they're in a firehouse, or they're in a police station, you turn on the TV, you see some horrible incident in their response area, and you're like, you cringe. Oh my God, let me make sure they're okay. I'm sure they are, but I don't know. That's what I was feeling now for the first time in my life, like that. And I remember calling the firehouse, and a guy answered, and he's like, whatever firefighter. I didn't know who he was. And I said, oh, is my dad there, Richie? And he's like, no, they've been relocated to Manhattan. My dad worked in Brooklyn. So when I heard that, I go, they're there now. And then in this meantime, I'm like, oh my God. So I go back to my house, and I'm watching the TV, this giant flat screen TV with all my roommates. It was the old TVs that were gigantic, right?
Yeah.
It almost looked like a projector. Remember that old school TV?
Yeah.
Where they were on the wall. We're all watching this. And we're like, it's almost like a movie. Like, we can't believe it. One of my roommates, I lived in this big house in the Hamptons. One of my roommates, her husband at the time was an FBI agent. And before the building fell, this lady said to me, she goes, I just talked to my husband. And she said, he just got a report that there were guys. This is what I heard from this lady. She said, my husband got a report from the FBI or people he worked with that there were guys on these planes in New York, and they supposedly had these red bands around their heads, and they had machetes, and they were decapitating people. This is what I heard right away. And I'm like, we didn't know anything yet. And I'm like, what? Like, how did they get a knife on the plane? Wait, oh my God. So we're talking about all this. And as we're hearing this, boom, the building falls. So I'm like, oh my God. And I just kept telling myself, he's okay, he's okay, he's okay. I call my mom, call my brother. So from the time the building fell around 9 o'clock, we didn't hear from my dad until about 5 hours later. So for 5 hours, we were like, pacing. Oh my God, the fire commissioner goes on TV, or someone, a spokesperson, saying, I just lost at least 300 people. And I'm like, oh my God. Now there's no cell phones. There's no radios, nothing. I'm walking around, but something in me was like, he's okay. He's okay. Maybe I just wanted to tell myself that. I don't know. I just know at that moment I couldn't, right? I didn't go to that place of, oh my God, it's over. Something in me, though, changed. So at that point in my life, I was not doing psychic work. I was not into any of this, but a shift or something in me started to occur. Okay. I could feel it. Something was going on. I couldn't explain. I couldn't put into words. And then bang, around 2 o'clock, my mom called me and said, I just heard from your dad. He got someone's phone. He's okay. And I'm like, boom, the weight of the world just dropped. You know what I mean? However, I know that there's guys in there that I grew up with, okay, literally, that I talked about as being an uncle or a friend, or people's, other kids that their dad that I know were in there, who are not coming home. A best friend of ours, my brother's best friend, was an EMT, Keith Fairban, and he was working that day, and his parents called him on the phone, and he answered. He said, Mom and Dad, I'm here. I'm at the Trade Center. I'll call you back. And he never called him back. He went back into the building, boom, it collapsed. Now, when I talked to my dad eventually and said, hey, what happened? He said, we got a good call. We go to the roof of the firehouse. We heard, that a plane hit the Trade Center. He goes, we go to the roof of the firehouse. We're looking, and we saw the second plane go in. Now, whatever it was, people say it's whatever. He saw something go in and explode. Now, there were guys also we know that were actually there that saw the plane go into, that were actually at the site. So when that happens, my dad's team runs downstairs. My dad was the chauffeur the night before. So the call came in at 10 to 9. And my dad usually would work till 9 on the dot. For some reason that morning, a guy came in and goes, hey, I'm going to drive. Just, take a shower, go home, Richie. He's like, all right, whatever. But he said, I just hung out. I'm hanging out. We're having breakfast. And so a different driver was working. but my dad was still there. They see the plane hit, they go downstairs, they jump on the truck, boom, they're driving there. The engine in my dad's house, there was a ladder my dad works in, ladder 102, engine 209 was there. They got dispatched earlier. So engine 209's there. Engine 209 goes through the tunnel. They get off. They're walking down the block to the trade center, okay? And someone jumped out of one of the buildings and hit another firefighter named Danny Sir from engine 216. They start working on him, right? They're trying to resuscitate him. As they're doing that, the building falls. So if that didn't happen, my dad's whole company, the engine in there, they all would have been killed, all of them. But that one guy saved all their lives. That's a miracle. My dad's company, the ladder, they're en route. They get to the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, and the police department goes, no one can go through. There's a bomb threat. And my dad said all the guys in the back are screaming at the chauffeur, drive through, go through the barricade, screw that, go, go, go. And he goes, I can't. It says on the computer to stay here. If I disobey the order, you can get fired. It's a real dangerous thing to disobey a direct order. And the police are there saying, no one can go through. There's bomb threats in there. So the guy waited. And my dad said, he goes, if I was still driving that day, I would have went through the barricade. It would have went right through, of course. But they waited. And as they're waiting, the first building falls. And then the police go, okay, you can walk through. So they grab their gear. They're walking through. They walk 2 miles with all their stuff. They walk through, and he said it was like a world war going on. They didn't know what was going on, okay? And no communication, nothing going on there. All this madness happening. So my dad's company, in the area he worked in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, people can look this up. Every single house in that area that day, every single house in that area, every guy working died that day, except my dad's firehouse. For some reason, I don't know why. Was it an act of God? Was it an angelic thing? I have no idea. All I know is for some reason, they were all alive, and everyone literally. So the survivor's guilt and all of that stuff never goes away. Never. I have endless stories I could tell you about guys I know, and oh my God, things they experienced and went through. It's unreal when you go through that kind of thing. So it was a miracle for them to get out of it. And for a couple of years, my life was just not the same. The grief and all that stuff and the PTSD, I can't even describe it. People wouldn't even understand. It doesn't make sense unless you go through it. Okay, you go through it. You guys know what I'm talking about. People listening, they just, they move on with their lives. Eventually they go on. But every year still, when that year comes up, when that time of year comes up, it's the weirdest feeling. You don't want to have a good face on. You don't want to be happy for anything. Doesn't matter if a birthday comes up. You just have a weird feeling in you. I can't describe it, but it was also a big driving factor for me. When I saw the planes hit, when I was watching on TV, the first thought that came to me was, oh my God, I wish I was in there. And people are like, that's crazy. I know guys that were like, I don't want anything to do with that after seeing that. And I go, I wish I was in there. I don't care what happens after. It is what it is. If I go, I go. If I stay, I stay. But I wish I was in there to help. You know what I mean? And I just was really driven at that point. And I took the fire department test right after, got 100 and 100, waited 5 years anyway, because everyone's got to wait. With 100 and 100, I waited 5 years, training and everything, waiting, counting my blessings. And then in 2006, I got on. The dream came true. And then that's when my journey started with this.
Wow. That is a very, very, very personal, as one individual has mentioned here. Hello, Brent. We see you with us. Eye-opening story. Definitely. When you hear the human heartbeat of a story that was on a TV or is something, parts of, to hear the actual people that talk, it's definitely eye-opening, and it definitely goes to the heart. I agree. Thank you for that, Brent, and thank you for sharing too there, Andrew. You made it. You did this, and generations were, the New York Fire Department. I mean, that in itself, like, look, listen to his voice, everybody. You can tell immediately, like, where he's from. Number one. So I knew immediately. I was like, oh yeah, I know exactly where you're from. And this is, no one's going to have that same story ever, literally. This is something that is very true in the beginning too, is that there are still things happening because they were there, because of what was, let's just say, of what was happening. We don't have to get into who believes what and who doesn't unless you want to. But I say, listen, you can't be in something like that and have no your energy, whether it's mental, physical, emotional, the toll that it takes, and your health, on top of why your health is the way that it is. So Andrew, as far as like, they moving on, I personally believe, and I'll just give my own personal, being around all of that and what was going on and breathing that in, like, had an effect majorly, especially on those rushing in. And I personally believe your story with your family members, that is what uh, contributed to to their lives, right? Like, you know,
Yeah.
that's what I believe. No one has to believe what I believe, but I can tell you, I listen up there, and then I have my own in here, and you know what? And then I say, well, look, and if you don't believe me out there, that's fine. But when someone is served, they serve for your freedom of speech. They serve for your freedom, your rights, you name it. So yes, if you don't agree, that's fine, because that's why people serve. So I don't want us to all be robots, right? Like, I want there to be different people, but I do believe in do no harm. I do believe in kindness, and I do believe in treating people with that respect that you want back. So, and then getting to the what I call the heartstrings. That's a song, by the way, that I'm going to be working on with SWAT down there. So, um, my heart is out there for you, your family. What about your mom? So immediately my heart's going, your mom, I'd be freaking out, right? I mean,
Yeah.
was she
You know,
okay?
yeah. So, it's all around. Like I said, it's a family. It's the other side of the family. It's everyone doing this. Everyone serving. Everyone, risking every day going to work. My mom's still, she's alive. She's healthy. And she says to me, she goes, I don't sleep right. I just can't.
Uh,
It's ingrained. Like, I know you're okay. You know what I mean? But like,
yeah.
still, you forget and like you dream. And then, like I said, you have this constant reminder. My mom stayed in the town I grew up in, Flower Park, New York, Long Island. My mom still lives there. She's still doing it. You know what I mean? She's still, both my parents are happily remarried and everything, and it's all good. And, she's still doing her thing. And she's still, like I said, will not sleep right at times. She'll have weird dreams. And a lot of the guys that we serve with, the ones that did make it out, now it's interesting. I've met so many guys that work 30 years, that do their thing. And then within the first year, a lot of them will get sick out of nowhere. It's wild. So I don't know what this stuff is. I know guys that have been clean as a whistle, retired, and then within a year they'll have diabetes, cancer throughout their blood, leukemia, or they call it 9/11. They don't know what it is, this weird stuff, and then they're gone within a year. So there's a guy out there, people can look up, Steve Garrity, my first chief on the job. Steve Garrity worked with my dad. Ed Garrity was Steve's brother. He lost his life at the Trade Center. He was a battalion chief down there, right in Times Square, and I knew him too. And growing up as a kid, I knew all those guys growing up around them. And Ed died at the Trade Center. Steve did 40 years in the job. He took it so seriously. Okay, this is all business. This guy, even after his brother died, it was all business, because it is very serious. When you're going to work, be a professional. When you're off work, listen, you can have a blast, do whatever you got to do. When you're at work, we're professionals. We do the job we got to do,
Right.
because people are depending on us. And it doesn't matter what's going on or who's in the building. I never, once in my firefighting career, I never asked for someone's ID when I was helping them. Okay. I didn't care who or what. I would go in and help you. I don't care where you're from, what background, where you're born, what your political belief is, I don't care. I just ran in that building full of smoke, and I'm pulling you out. And if you don't like me, then that's too bad. I still would look out for you. I'd still risk my life for you. And the guys I work with, we all had that thing about us. So yeah, we can have our differences, but we go in and do our thing. Steve Garrity did 40 years, retired. He was sick, and he passed away within a year from 9/11 related illness. And man, like I talked about earlier, I want everyone to listening to retire, to do their thing. You never know what's going to happen in life. So reflecting and looking back, also try to enjoy the journey. Yes, it's all business, it's all this, it's all that, but also you want to enjoy your life. Okay. You know, we take things serious when they're serious, but when it's not serious, let loose, enjoy yourself, travel, go away, do the things you want to, because if you say, when I retire, I'm going here and I'm going to do this for 20 years, you have no idea what life's going to bring. So enjoy the ride along the way. They have that expression, smell the roses. That's one thing I learned in therapy over the years. Okay. Because I also, right after I got on the fire department, I graduated probie school. 2 months out of probie school, I was a squad leader. So all the military guys, we were all in charge of a group of like 20 guys. So I was squad leaders with guys, and you form a bond with the squad leaders because we're all ex-military. You know, we know things a little differently. We graduate probie school. Literally 2 months after probie school, the guy that stood in front of me at probie school, who was a Marine, he goes to his first fire and dies. And it wasn't his fault. There was a store fire. They extinguished it. It's out. They're just sitting there. And there was a air conditioning unit on the roof, and the roof was unstable. The AC unit falls through. His name is Michael Riley, and his lieutenant was literally with him. They got sent into the basement by this AC unit. They were literally together. They were crushed together. They had crush syndrome. So as soon as they would let go and decompress them, we knew they were going to bleed out. So they came, the fire department came, and they sent a tube with a microphone down. They called his wife on the phone, and they had him talking on the phone to his wife while he was crushed, knowing that when the crushing was out, he was going to lose his life. And the first thing he said to his wife on the phone is, how's the probie? How's Mike? Where is he? He didn't know what was going on, that he was crushed with him. Okay. And he was on the phone with his wife for a few hours. And finally, they brought the microphone back up, released, and him and Lieutenant Howie Karpluk lost their life. I had 2 months on the job. So I got an introduction to what the FDNY is all about. 98% of the job is amazing. Everything's, oh my God, it's the best thing ever. It's just that little percentage of when things don't go the way you want to, and then you got to deal with that side of it. And it does happen. It's usually all good. Usually everything's great and amazing, but every once in a while, something messed up happened to someone you love, someone you know, someone you went to probie school with. And then a couple of years later in my career, about 10 years into it, I unfortunately lost one of my lieutenants, which this is how this gets into all this psychic stuff. So if you want me to share all about that, how this really exploded.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Most
Okay,
definitely.
so people are wondering
we've got several veterans, Gold Star families. We've got civilians. Yes, they definitely want you to. That's for sure. So, but I always
this is
say,
the goods.
What you want, like share what you want. I am not censored. We can do what we want on here. Well, you know what I mean. We're all free.
So I have a lieutenant lose his life. Horrendous. Once again, now I'm dealing with it at work. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, oh my God, like this is great. You know, the PTSD, the guys, everything was great. Everyone was there for each other, but all that stuff after the anniversaries, all that weird stuff. Now, in the meantime, me and my grandmother were rock solid, very tight as a kid growing up. My best friend. We used to sit and watch that show on TV, Unsolved Mysteries. And in like 1993, I'm with my grandmother on the couch in Floral Park, Long Island, and I look at her watching Unsolved Mysteries. I go, Gram, when you go to heaven one day, can you come back like that? You know, like they do on TV, and give me a sign so I know that you're okay and you're with Grandpa. And she looked at me and she goes, yeah, I will. Now, I don't know why I said it. We didn't have those kinds of conversations. We weren't real religious or anything. We didn't talk about that stuff. And honestly, after 1993, I never brought it up again. Well, fast forwarding, around 2010, Graham gets sick. She passes. And I took care of her at the end of her life. I saw her every day. I'd go to the firehouse. My days off, I went and took care of her. I drove her to the doctor. I went through all of that with her. Okay. And I don't regret any of it. I had to go. I had to do it for whatever reason. She had to be there and experience that. When she transitioned, though, I go, I need to know she's okay. I'm not thinking about the psychic thing, though. I'm not at all. So I went to a doctor. I went to a therapist. I went to counseling. I went to friends, family, a priest, everyone. And the priest said to me, I said, Father, where's Graham? How do I know she's okay? He goes, well, she's okay. I said, how do we know? He goes, in the Bible, it says blah, 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 blah. I go, no, I get that. I go, but how do we really know? Like, how do we know for sure? He goes, we just have to have faith. I go, no offense, Father. I go, that's not enough. I go, this is my grandmother. I have to know. Well, right after that, I go, it's a couple weeks after Grand passes, I go out to a restaurant in town called Jameson's in Floral Park, New York with my mom. We're both grieving. We're both going through all this crap. We're sitting at a restaurant eating dinner. This guy comes in with long hair, earrings, and a leather jacket, comes up to me and my mom and says, "Did someone in your family just die? They had cancer right here on their face." I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "You or your mom, who was born on Easter Sunday?" My mom was born on Easter Sunday in 1956. I go,
Wow.
"Her?" And I'm like, "What? Who is this?" He goes, "Oh, I'm a psychic medium. I'm doing a reading of the restaurant." I'm like, yeah, all good. Keep going, whatever. And he does his reading. I'm still skeptical, though, at the time, right? I'm just like, whatever. I wait a year. I'm not on social media, nothing, no Facebook, I'm not putting it all together yet. I tracked the guy down because I was going through an awful time in life. My house was underwater from Hurricane Sandy in Long Island. I lost everything. My house, my wife, everything, man, gone, literally. Not from death. Okay, we just got separated. It's all good, though. But anyway, at the time, I was going through a ton. I tracked this guy down. I get a reading, and at the end of the reading, he brought up all different things from the first time I saw him. At the end of the reading, he looks at me, he goes, "You know you have the gift." I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You have the gift of being a medium." I go, "All right, well, what do I do?" And I was open to this guy because he came from a family of police. Okay, his dad was a retired detective, big time. And I go, "All right, well, let me check this out. Show me." So I go back the next week, and I found out later, my basically one of my grandmothers, I would consider her, she worked with his mother. It turned out to be, so it was like a lot of connections, So I go back a week later. I sit down with this guy in his studio with about 20 people I didn't know. I'd never seen anyone before. We meditate for 5 minutes. He pairs me up with a young lady I never met before. He goes, "Okay, just tell her what you're seeing." And all of a sudden, I'm looking at her, and I get a tingle in my spine. I look at her, and I start to see these black and white images really fast rolling out one after another. And I go, I see a car going down the block in reverse. It hits a tree. Someone's left leg, the left leg in particular, is cut off. And then there's a V above them. I said, "Is their name Vinny or Vince or something with a V? Is that what that means?" She looks at me. She goes, "That's my Uncle Vinny." I go, "Okay." Like, this is the first time this happened. Like, all right, is this real? Is she making this up? Well, every week this happened. Every week. So I'm still in the firehouse doing this on the side. I don't want anyone to know, right? I don't want anyone to know anything about this. Eventually, like anything, guys find out, because I go to a live reading one night where this guy was doing a live reading of a big room, and I see guys from the firehouse, and they're like, "Hey, bro," and I'm like, "Oh, I know him, with friends," and he's like, "Oh, yeah, you're into that?" And I'm like, yeah. I still didn't want anyone to know, but life sometimes has plans of its own. Well, the New York Post finds out, okay, that I'm into this stuff. I'm into being a medium because I started talking about it on social media, and the New York Post ends up writing an article about me. So it is what it is. Everything in there is true. I don't deny any of it. And it's in there. And then that was it. The cat was out of the bag. Everyone knows. So I'm going to the firehouse. Then my days off, I'm having big, rough, tough guys, veterans, Iraq combat veterans, Middle East, Vietnam vets, anyone and everyone, guys all over the job, contacting me privately. "Hey, bro, can you help me? Can you read me? Can you my mom, can you talk to my wife? Can you talk to my cousin?" And I'm reading like distant relatives that I know nothing about as well. I don't like reading people I know just because they're like, "Oh, you kind of know me. So like, is it like pre-planned?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm doing this for free, bro. Like, I'm a fireman and I'm working on the side. I'm not getting paid for this. Why would I be making this up? You know what I mean? For nothing. Duh, am I an idiot? No." So I was just doing it to help people heal.
Right.
Because when I got that reading that first time, I was healed from my grandmother's passing. Done. Because I knew, whoa, what that guy said to me, she's okay. She's in a good place because she was sick and suffering at her death. So wherever she is, the way she communicated things to me and brought up things from the past, and this guy doesn't know me, I know that she's okay. I don't care what anyone says. I know in my heart. And then when I knew I could do this, I go, if I can do this and help people, oh my God, I don't need to make a living out of it. I just want to help people. I was working in the firehouse, doing this part, just on the side. Eventually in life, though, right, as life happens and things go on, the current state we're in, living with COVID, I'll get into that. So I'm working in the firehouse. I'm reading guys. I'm helping people. I also, as well, people look me up, I've also had thousands of documented, studied, analyzed UFO sightings. So that's just something I've seen
Wow.
too as well. That's very interesting, that I've had professionally analyzed. I've been studied by a doctor at Stanford University. There's a ton to this. People can look this up. There's a ton into this, but basically there was a connection. There's a connection, I believe, with our loved ones that when they transition and these lights in the sky. Why? After my grandmother died, I went outside one night. I go, Graham, if you're here, if you get to hear me, show me a sign. Give me something. I need to see something. And all of a sudden, bang, a ball of light appeared, and it was pink, and it glided across the sky.
Wow.
It glided across, and I go, oh my God, that is great. Like, what's pink? Nothing on a plane is pink. And I've seen this ball of light and filmed it and recorded it now, for, I don't know, over a decade, right? It's just wild, the things I've seen. And the people I've met along this journey have validated these things too, that there's some sort of connection. So the guys in the firehouse knows, everyone knows, the cat's out of the bag. People are like, what do the guys think? I'm like, they loved it. They used to strap like, alien dolls or like psychic things or UFOs to my locker. But that's the firehouse. When they love you, they break your chops. If they don't break your chops, there's something wrong. So they were just like, that's you. That's Raz. My nickname is Raz because Andrew Razowitz. They were just like, that's Raz. He's a freak. He's a weirdo. But all that matters, how are you at a fire? If you're good at a fire, you could be the biggest freak in the world. No one cares. The crazier and the wilder, actually, the usually better they are at a fire because you're more of a risk taker. But you learn as time goes on too. You assess risk versus reward and all that. That comes with time. But guys love that. They like someone that's really out there. So I just didn't hide it. I was like, whatever. Once they knew, it is what it is. And the FDNY themselves officially on record, when I knew that the New York Post was going to write an article about me, their writer contacted me and I said, I don't want an article. Don't do this. I don't want any publicity. I don't know if you're going to write anything weird. I called the FDNY all the way to the press desk. The head of the press desk said to me, we have no problem with what you're doing or you're saying. What you're doing is helping people. In fact, we need more guys like you to talk about good, positive, spiritual things. There's nothing mean or negative. You're helping guys heal and families on your day off for free. No one does nothing for free, man. That's very special. So I always say, no, man, the job was great. They supported me, man. It's just not enough people come forward and talk about this stuff that it's like so weird and taboo. And like now though, with this current space we're living in with social media, oh my God, this is the hot topic. Everyone wants to talk about this.
Well, so I have a question for you, Andrew. Just listen to your story. It's absolutely amazing. But just looking back, just kind of listen to everything. You said something earlier when 9/11 happened. You said you kind of had that internal feeling. You kind of knew automatically that even though, of course, that's one of the most traumatic, times of anybody's life, not just in New York, but of course around the world. But you kind of instinctively knew immediately that your father was okay. So that being said, do you think now looking back that was one of the moments when you did have the gift? You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm trying to get at? Yeah,
100%. So I talk to guys after Ground Zero. Over the years, even still to this day, they'll call me. After that event happened, still, I've been in firehouses and seen this, and I talk to guys who are not into this that told me this. They said they literally saw the physical form and apparition of guys that died that day. Some guys would stay in the TV room. Sometimes their form would stay in a bunk room where the beds are. Sometimes they just run them to a locker room. Guys that have died at work or active duty, you will see at times, literally, I've heard this story now all over the world with social media. People have quoted it, but I'm saying I've literally seen it. So going back, I've heard stories about guys at fires. Wow, I saw a vision. I heard something. And then it happened to me as well. That happened when I was younger. Then when I was active duty, one time I got off the truck, I was going to a fire. This is December 26, 2015. I'll never forget it. Going to a fire, getting my stuff, gathering my gear, getting everything together, right? I get off the rig. I could see like a purplish mist come in. This only happened once. And I look at it, it's like time froze. It stopped. And I saw an outline of what looked like a body. And I heard my grandmother's voice, and she was passed away already. She goes, Andrew, don't go in there. And I looked at the apparition, the outline, and this is what made it really specific though. I smelt her 1980s Bill Blass vanilla scent perfume. And that's specific. That's like a real grandma smell. You know what I mean?
Right.
I go,
That's what I'm
and
smiling.
that's what she wore. I go, literally took an inhale, time froze, and then whoom, we were back at it. I'm like, so I grabbed my stuff, go to the front of the building, and the chief comes over. He goes, 119, ladder 119, you're going in the top floor. And I look to the guy next to me who's a probie. He had the orange pumpkin patch on. I look at him and I go, hold on a second. The guys are with me. I go, hold on. They're like, what? And I'm like, you can't disobey a direct order. Once again, you can get fired for that, bro. That's a big deal. So I go, just wait. 30 to 40 seconds later, we're looking at the top floor. Fire blows out of every window.
Oh, wow.
We would have been killed instantly. So after the guys are like, how did you know that? Like, what was up? I didn't get into the whole Graham thing at that minute. I just go, if your soul ever talks to you, you have a gut feeling really strong, listen to it. Because if I didn't do that, I would have ran right in like I normally would have. But I had 10 years on the job. Times are different. And like I said, that never happened before. So now when I hear stories from guys of similar things in combat or working at a firehouse or a police station, oh, yeah, it's real. You better believe it. There's some force, whether it's angels, family, something, aliens, I don't know, something out there that I feel kind of looks out for us, kind of guides us. And then if we have the eyes or ears to see this or pay attention, yes, you can see it. It's just the ego and all these things we deal with says, that's nonsense. That's bullshit, bro. Don't talk about that. You know what I mean? The guy thing. But no. Guys have had this. Some of the biggest, roughest, toughest guys have come to me with similar things.
Wow. That's amazing.
It really is. We're getting a lot here. You know, I am actually, so I was back and forth about this, Andrew. I was like, am I really going to say something? You did something a few minutes ago. So the grandmother thing, same thing. But since I was a kid, when you're in circumstances that are dire, and I'm going to say it out there because I believe too. I got him up there too, though. Since I was a child, the dire situations, whether it was homelessness and parents that just didn't, there's always black sheep, right? In each family. So I've been around a lot. I've been around a lot of things that most people have not. As a kid, I literally would say, and be like, well, what's your dad? And I would like, I'd say God, or, I mean, I do have, and it seems to be when there's like a risk, something is happening, and it's as a child. So this Victorian lady, I don't know who she is, somewhere, I think it's somewhere in my history, way back, has followed me around since I was a child. And I got really upset. So you know that I lost my son. You don't know details. Everyone's assuming how I lost him because he was in the military. But they should be careful assuming because I won't say how. But I was mad because I was like, I actually did get the feeling with that time, but I couldn't figure out, like, is it him or is it the other kid? Like, I couldn't figure it out. He's leaving for Afghanistan. Everyone's like, oh, you're just stressed. I'm like, no. So that's not right. So I have all this in writing. I'm like, you got to come home just for Christmas. You're about to leave to Afghanistan. Just trust me. He's like, we don't have the money, Mom. And I'm like, I don't care. I'll figure it out. You need to come home. Something's wrong. So I got to see him twice because I had cancer surgery right before that, and he had to be called in from the field. Little did I know, well, I guess I can't say that anymore. What I knew was that, unfortunately, I was about to lose one of my children. And so I got angry. So there's two things right here. You said the name Jameson. Nobody knows it. That's my nickname. You mentioned that. And I went, what the heck? Like, nobody knows. It's in my phone as that. My youngest son just looked at me yesterday and said, who is that? I'm sending myself notes, y'all. So I'm a very honest person. Nothing PC about me. He's like, who's Jameson? And I said, it's me. He's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, my notes are texting myself. I'm always like, if it's a song or whatever it is, I need to get it in. And he's like, why? And I was like, we'll get into that another time. But it has nothing to do with the alcohol. For anyone that's thinking it's the alcohol, it's not. But ironically, one of my son's favorite drinks does have something like that in it. But that isn't why. Actually, I don't even know why he gave it to me, to be honest.
I bet
Um,
Andrew already knew that for some reason. You had a
no, I mean,
connection
I'm
with
completely
Jameson.
open. There are a lot of people that may not be open to this. There are, I have some guilt because I pushed my son to join the military. Not that he wasn't built for it. Not that as a child in the car when we heard about Ground Zero, he's a child. Did he not? He looked at me and was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going," and I'm like, "Child, you just barely started middle school, so let's focus on your grades and in football for a while." As he got older, he was known to be the fighter. Like he was what you were just talking about. If you're going to go on a mission or anything, you're going to grab him. Like you want to take care of business, you're going to grab him. You want your back watch, you're going to
Yeah.
grab him. But unfortunately, what happened, and I won't get into the details because everybody be like, "Oh, you're telling him." No, I'm not. I really don't tell too many people anything except that do I still fight and have something I'm dealing with? Yes, absolutely, I do. Um, I was angry. I'm going to tell you this. I was so angry. I was like, why as a child and why my grandmother? Where's my son? Like, why have I not seen him? Like, this is ridiculous. And I had an emergency happen probably a year after, remember I didn't take care of my health, y'all. Everybody take care of your health. That's a big deal. I saw him. Like the spot, the everything. And I was like, okay, just be chill. And but I still wonder, it's interesting to me that the timing of it when it comes for me is only when it's like a dire situation, but maybe I just have not accepted and kind of like taught myself or gotten in touch with someone like you that had someone mentor them. So I don't know what it is. I just know that I keep it quiet because some people kind of freak out on that. Like even in the beginning when I would say something about my son and I'm like, I've got it in writing. Like I don't need to prove it to you, but I can tell you right now, I was scrambling to get him home. I knew I had to see him again. So, and in there it says directly, like, no, I'm sorry, but there's going to be a death and you need to come home. He's like, Mom, you're fine. I'm like, I know I am. I'm not talking about me. So, so everyone out there listening, number one, pay attention to your health, pay attention to your environment. But I actually was not going to do this tonight. I was not going to say anything. I heard you say Jameson, number one. And there are things happening, you know how you met me. It's about giving. This is everybody that's listening right now to Patriots Inside the Wire, totally on my own credit cards, budget, no money tree, no sponsors, no nothing, right? The equipment, the software, it's like it keeps adding up. But we can reach so many people and help them. And I just can't turn my back. I am one of those people. I just will never be able to do that. So I have to go forward. I don't want to work in a corporation. I want to be able to do what I know I'm supposed to do, which is help other people. But I kind of do that to my own detriment. You know what I mean? It's like, ooh, but you still got to pay the bills, Tracy. So I got to figure out that too. And that's where, SWAT, we've got here, amazing family. And, we're talking about a lot of different things. Hi there, Rick. I see you there. And Brent has been amazing. We thank you for that, Brent. If you want to say anything to me, Andrew, I actually will let the door open and I'm fine with it.
Yeah. So this is how I do that. So first thing, if I know somebody, or like last week, I just read somebody, and then for example, a neighbor came through who just passed, and I had to say, hey, he's telling me all this. Well, then the neighbor that came through, their spouse goes, I want to get read. So I'm like, all right, I sit with her. Now, as a human, you go, oh God, someone can't sit and tell you the same thing, right? That would just be ridiculous. You just reread, you can't reread. I don't do that anyway. But I sat with the neighbor, whatever, a week or two later, and what came through with her was totally nothing was the same. It was all different new things. So that's not me saying, oh, let me pick and choose. It's just whatever is there is there.
Yeah.
And when I do read people, number one, I read them for an hour, because so much comes through. I don't just give little tidbits, little hits. This is what I would do. So someone like you, no problem. I've read people gone on the shows. I sit, I'll read them for an hour, and then I just ask them honestly after, just do an honest review about it, share what your experience is, right? Someone knows some things about me, but whatever comes through has to be things that nobody could Google or right, because you want to know, hey, there's no way this guy's pulling any of that. I know what I do, but for the skeptic out there, right, there's got to be these weird details. For example, things about somebody that passed, things about their childhood that aren't in like some documentary about them or just whatever. Like, oh my God, that's something sacred or something they shared to me or gave to me. Things like that would come through. Or I've also been on people's shows where they said, all right, tell me anything. And if anything comes up, and then we go to a break and I go, okay, this is what I'm picking up on. And they're like, oh, don't share that. I'm like, wait, hold on. You just told me to share anything on the air. You know what I mean? I had somebody I read, real religious down south. Share anything. We go to break. I go, so are you ready to go back? And I'm going to read you. And what I was just picking up was when you were 15 years old, you and your girlfriend went to the doctor and had and he's like, oh, no. You can't share that. I go, bro, it's not up to me what comes through when I read. It's just what's there or not. It's not a collect call. Let me just see the good things. It's anything goes. So I tell people, if you want to hear something specific, go out there on TikTok or wherever. You'll find a fraud. They'll tell you what you want to hear. If you want to hear the real message, you can go to my site or someone like me, look at the reviews, see what people have experienced. And if that's something you are open for, we'll sit privately and have a real thing, because I want to be respectful. Anything can come up. And I also, I don't want to say something and then leave you without resources, because you know what I mean? Things come up or whatever comes up. It's an hour-long process for anyone that comes to me. I would never, even out of respect to you, I would never want to just say one thing and then just be like, see ya. You know what I mean? I got to go. I got an appointment here. No. Do it respectfully. Do it the right way. And anytime you contact me,
I know
anytime
how to find you.
Of course. No, absolutely. We can do that.
Well,
I actually, what's that?
Oh, I was just wondering, how can we find you, Andrew? Just let everybody out there know if they want
Yeah.
to.
So this is so I just briefly I'm in New York. I get asked to speak in Australia at a conference about my experience. So I do. I come to Australia, speak in Melbourne. I meet a girl here traveling. We end up dating, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, married. We have a child. I'm here. I have to get a job in Melbourne, Australia. I end up going outside under the full moon. I go, all right, what should I do? Where should I be drawn to? I'm like, I really like to work in a funeral home. I feel like I'd fit in. The next day, bang, right on my LinkedIn or whatever, something comes up about a job in a funeral home down the block from my house. I go in, they hire me on the spot. For the first 3-4 years in Australia, I was a mortician in a funeral home. We could spend 3 hours talking about that, but basically I did that. And then when COVID came, I had so many people messaging me. I still didn't stop doing readings. So many people like, dude, I need a reading. I need a reading. I go, okay, it's time. So I stopped working a normal job, even if that's normal in a funeral home, right? So I end up doing readings now. I loved it. It was amazing. Best job ever.
Yeah,
Best
I mean, even as a kid, I was like, yeah, I'm going to grow up and that's what I'm going to do. And people are like,
so amazing. It's
are you crazy?
And if someone's listening and thinks they want to do that, I recommend to be older. It's not a job for a 20-year-old. You want to be mature. You want to have been through trauma and drama, because you can take that home if you're not prepared. Oh my God. But I've been through so much of that as a fireman. I was like, oh, this is great. I love it, man. I can come in and prepare 10 dead bodies. Not everyone can. Big turnover in that job. A lot of people come and go, but I'm doing that. And then COVID came. I did readings full time. And then through social media, I was contacted by a TV channel here. They go, hey, you want to be on TV? I was on A&E, regular TV here, and I'm developing a ton of other things, book. But if anyone wants to find me, go to the psychicfirefighter.com. Basically, what I do, I go into a meditative state. And you could go on my website, look at videos, reviews, and see all this. But I will give you messages and interpret what I'm seeing around you from your loved ones that have passed, family events, past, present, future. And you want to know things about your life, past, present, future, personal things, job, whatever, career, any of that. I do all that stuff too. But basically, people want to know about their loved ones. Where are they? Are they okay? Give me a sign. And I've been doing that now for about 3 years here professionally. But overall, I've been doing it for about 15 years.
Wow, it's
Wow.
amazing. Is it psychicfirefighter.com or is it
The
the psychic?
psychicfirefighter.com. It's real easy. Or if you go to any social media, just Psychic Firefighter or the
I
Psychic
got it
Firefighter. I'm
scrolling.
the only one.
So,
As far as I know, I'm the
yeah.
only one in the world. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
just me.
Well, for everyone that is listening, because we will have this on audio uploaded onto Apple, iHeart, Spotify, you name it, later. So you'll be listening to us in our audio. You won't be able to see that we are scrolling this. So yes, you have psychicfirefighter.com. That's where you will find Andrew, your service and everything you've done, Andrew. I have been around you longer than even an hour on here. We spent some time in another thing that I'm not going to get into actually. Meaning we were both in belief of an area of things that we were doing, and I found myself
Yeah.
helping people. And then I literally we just couldn't between me trying to help and do everything I could think of for any Gold Star family, any Fallen Heroes family, which I still do. And then on top of being sick, it was always I'd be in touch and I was like, well, you know, wait, I was doing that. I was like, let me just wait a little bit. And these are Tic Tacs, by the way, I'm putting in my mouth just in case anyone's wondering. I have to after this
Tracy,
surgery.
I know before somebody asked about how do you heal yourself, and I just wanted to say very simply, personally, every day I meditate. That's just something that's worked for me. And I use the meditation. I started doing it in the firehouse with guys that were combat vets and did everything else. They tried everything, AA, they did everything. And that stuff's great too. But daily meditation, start the day with meditation and then go to the gym and just get a good burn. That's essential to start my day. And I don't drink, I don't do any drugs or anything, but you do what you got to do. But I notice if I don't drink or do anything, I feel a lot better. That's just me personally. And, but yeah, meditation daily, doing a daily meditative practice. I do teach meditation as well. If people want to learn, you can come to me. You can go anywhere, but I do teach it as well. And oh my God, it works really fast and it's long-term good benefits that don't cost anything once you learn how to do it. You know what I mean? So that works for me. You talked about healing. Prayer's great, but meditation's good for being real present in the moment.
I think
That's
that would probably
excellent. I
help
love
even
that.
me. Yeah,
I
I
love
do
that.
believe that that's
Absolutely.
something I should
Yeah, it's
look at.
great. Oh my God.
I
I'm
throw
telling you, it's
myself.
a difference maker. It takes away that angst and that anxiety and all that stuff. When I meditate, wake up, I meditate before I do anything. I'm much more grounded before I do any business or anything. Oh my God. Way better.
I think it's amazing. So the one thing I haven't done is the whole meditation that you're talking about. I jump. So when you say fire, I'm like that person that will jump into a fire quick because I'm like, all right, I can figure this out. Let me figure out who this is and who this is, and let's just get it done. And so that's why. So it's like I'm going from one place to the next, and I need to settle down a little bit and do what you did. Like I have gone up and looked up at the sky and gone, tell me here, because I need to continue doing what I'm doing, but it's not going to pay my bills. So I just keep going down these avenues, and here we are now. And this broadcast, we'll be looking for sponsors, actual television shows. There are many, many stories that are not just me, but even behind me, coming through. So, and I don't mean just people who aren't here. I mean, in life, the things that have been experienced are not your typical life. So from childhood up, it's just so much. It would be good to get it. I'm like, no one would ever believe this. You can't write a reality show. You cannot write a movie. It's like this. I used to say this would be a Lifetime series, not a Lifetime movie. This would end up being a series. It was a joke, right? And that was before my latest loss. So, and the thing that I'm trying to get across out there to everyone is that I kind of shut the door. Like we would talk, but I was like, text me, email me, and even you, everything that everyone's going through obviously has been, there's a lot going on in our country, right? Even previous, we've got COVID, we've got right now. I mean, there is a lot going on. And I want to take that call. I'm going to do what I need to do because I can't not do it. I don't know how else to say it. But thank you so much, Jeremy. I see you present. We are so happy that you're not. Stick by with us. Live it just like Andrew's telling you. Enjoy those years. Life is short. You have to. Now, I'm a mom who's telling you this, who's had 2 babies and an adult child. Well, they call him an adult, but he wasn't like drinking age over in Iraq or anything. So you got to consider like how young someone could be that's going overseas, and then something happens on U.S. soil, and it lit a fire in me as a fighter. So that fighter side of me was what came out, and I couldn't just lay down and cry. I'm like, no, I'm going to fix this. I don't care how long it takes. This law is going to pass, number one. Number two, I never want another person to have someone knock on their door like that, dressed in the uniforms. I even ran an organization before it, right? So it's like, it's happening. You're there, but you're not. It's strange. My body was curled up in the corner of a couch, literally all night. Well, first I went and locked myself in a room and was like making phone calls, going, "This can't be true. There's no way. The timing doesn't work." Um, as I'm sitting in the corner of my couch, you're just waiting, and it's just like the movies. They come to your door. You've got a chaplain. You've got, the fully dressed individual in their military uniform. It's something you never forget. I'm getting chills right now. Like, it's that part to me, I will never forget, and I still get the weird feeling. The other part I'd like to bring up to others that, this happened to me too, not others. I mean, not just them. For instance, when you have flown on a plane, Andrew, have you ever thought that there might be a body under that plane in the cargo area?
That's. I guess it's possible. Yeah, anything's possible. Yeah.
All the time. Do you know why? My son. So Marines like, I'm gonna get in trouble right there with the Marines. SWAT, watch my back. We got Army on here. We got Coast Guard. So Marines, go eat some crayons.
He was in the Navy, and he has family that was in the Marines. So
yeah, we're all covered
I've
here.
heard about that. I know what you're talking about now. I know what you're talking about.
He
Yeah,
came
sure.
home.
Mm-hmm.
They turn and they take me on a tarmac, and I'm like, do you know how like it was just so stripped down?
Yeah.
And I never thought about that. So I was like, what are we doing? And they're like lining us up. Here comes the door open. The people had been on this plane, but they take you in a hidden area towards the back after the people are gone. And there they go to bring him out. And I'm like, wait a minute. Was he on that plane the whole time that people were there? Yes. So every time I go to fly, which has only been recently now, because I'm finally like, okay, I can do this. I ask people, I'm like, not random people, but people that actually work in that industry. I'll say, have you ever thought about that there's an actual, like, is this I say honor flight. Is this a flight where you have someone here draped with a flag? And they'll say, no, not this flight. And I've said to them many times, I even asked a couple times when I was dealing with things, I was like, would you mind just saying his name? People look at you funny. And it's like, okay, they don't get it. But anyway, long story short, that's kind of freaked me out a little bit. But I'm okay now. It's just that every time I'm on a plane, I'm like, there's actual people under that plane, what you're flying on.
Well, go ahead, Andrew. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, that whole thing I learned about that industry and funerals and everything too. We could definitely do in like a part 2, because that's probably an hour conversation about. Oh my God, I think some things as well. Yeah, and I totally get it.
Well, and
this guy's commenting.
Tracy, I think that what makes Andrew so unique in what you do, Andrew, is you do have that connection through the military. You do have that connection as being a firefighter and a first responder, and having a whole line of your family. So you do kind of already have that connection to those types of people, like Tracy, where you can kind of understand and pull from that in your experience. And I think that's what makes you so unique in what you do.
Well, I know that it's been unique. I know that, like, when you just turned off your background right there, Andrew, I'm glad you did that, because I have whatever my energy is. I don't know yet, because I haven't harnessed it like you, but you got a lot behind you. You have a lot of energy to me, personally, just to me. Don't understand it. I don't need to. But that just means that, like you said, you get a lot of things that come around you. My thing is I don't do the um meditating. I haven't done anything to even figure it out. It's like for a little while I even hid it. It was like, but at this point in my life, I'm telling you right now, after losing my child, it's like, bring it on. Nothing's going to be that bad. I'm good. I am not PC. And you know what? He served so that I can say whatever the heck I want. Now, people on here know if you hear me say a cuss word like the F word or something, go get bail money because I just don't do that. But it is my sole mission and not by myself that we take this show into areas where we can heal, support, give back. There is music. To me, music is medicinal. Like that's how I escape is music. So, um, but my vocal cord got cut. So I'm like, all right, big guy up there. Uh, let's just see what you want. I don't know, but it's like they will never give you more than you can handle. And I'm thinking, all right, fine, I get that, but we might be getting to that point where Tracy's going to go, let's try to figure some things out because she might have a little more than she can handle. But I'll deal with that part of it. You have so many people here since, so Jeremy, I've seen that. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your service. And he's talking about flying, 37 years since 2003. And
Wow.
I need a swear jar. I don't know if I need the swear jar. I think I need it for other people. but yes, so that is the story there of me meeting Andrew. It was with 9/11. We did a thing together as far as where we got out information. And I'm on a whole lot of platforms right now, and that's why you're hearing me say that I really don't want to promote one or the other. We're on multiple channels, so and that's how that happened. It's a true story. Before you got in here, SWAT, and we went live, I looked at him. I'm like, man, I keep choking, literally. Like I swallowed like one of those TikToks I'm putting in my mouth, or like right here. So it's like I can't, but it won't stop. Like I'm literally choking, is all I can tell you. But don't know why. But I 100% like everything you're saying. I from day one I went, okay, well maybe I'm not that weird. Number one, maybe I just need to figure it out. And then I can't tell you how many moms have asked me. And so a Gold Star mom is someone whose child was active duty, and it's Gold Star family, but they're the mothers. Many believe, and they search hard to find a psychic, literally. And I've been asked, and they've said, "Have you ever?" And I said, "No." There was one time that I saw a sign literally on the door, and I was like, "No, not for me, not right now." Just something at that door. I was even standing in front of it, and I was like, "This is not the right thing." So that was not. That's what I call what you said. The non-believers, your information's out there online. I knew that that was not the door for me to go into. So, um, some people are ready for things when they're ready for things. And I have been in a wonderful spot as far as like my health, thank goodness, that I stopped and took care of. And then now switching gears as far as, well, what am I going to do now? Like, where do I fit? Because it's really hard to fit me into a category, except for if I can take my knowledge and what I can do, and it will go to everyone that's listening, or if you're watching now or you tune in to watch later. You can reach us on our website at patriotsinsidethewire.com. Again, that is patriotsinsidethewire.com. Gold Star families, you have veterans, you have your first responders. We have between music, everything else, everything that Andrew's talking about. I'm 1,000%. I'm a believer. I do know this. I know that you have something for me, and I've known it for quite some time. And so here, have you noticed that here and there you'll get an email, or here and there you'll get a something, how we connected, and it'll be like, yeah, send me a text, but never really like pushed it and went, you know what? Hey, I really want to talk to you, but it was always just very loose and trying to help other people. So I've never committed. I've been like, no, let's just chat and be there for other people. And just maybe I didn't want to go there then. I don't know. But I've always just thought
Oh yeah,
about what I can do for
it, it,
everyone else.
it's absolutely, when the timing is right, you'll get the signs. And if you or anyone out there is listening, once again, my website is the THE
Oh, let's change that.
psychicfirefighter.com. Yeah. It's just the psychicfirefighter.com. Really easy to find.
Okay.
Or if you're looking for any psychic out there, whoever it is, what I always say is make sure that they have a background. They've trained with somebody. They have reviews out there. You could check in and make sure they're credible, not just someone online. You want someone with a strong presence, but also someone that's been around. Okay. Not just for, a few months. You want to get whatever you're out there investing spiritually too. You want to get that in return, because, there are some con artists out there. So just look around. And I want to thank you guys once again. I have to get running here. It's the opposite time of the world right here in Australia. I would
Right.
love to come on at some point for a part 2. And Tracy,
I would love that.
whenever you're ready, you want to set something up and do a reading, anytime, you just contact me and we'll sort it
I'm
out.
good. So you know what? Your schedule's a little more hectic than mine. You ever want me to go on TV? I have come to the part of my life where I'm like, I'm
Cool.
good. I am good with talking about whatever. I've still got SWAT here. We close up with songs. You do not have to be
Andrew,
here for that part.
Thank you guys
Andrew,
very much for having me. I
thank
really
you so
appreciate it.
much. Hey,
We
you know what?
thank
Best to your
you.
family.
Yes,
All
your
the best. You God
family.
bless.
Yes, God bless. Thank you. And I will be in touch. And yes, we will do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. I'll see you.
Jameson.
Take care.
Andrew.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
All right, SWAT, you've got us here. And we just had a fabulous show there with not only a veteran, his whole family that has served as if it was police, every category you can think of in the military. Such a big ground zero 9/11. Even mentioning that during 9/11, a lot of people are suffering, and a lot of these illnesses. There's just so much going on. I knew when I met Andrew, that was all true. I was like, you know, for other people, I'm really good at helping, but for myself, let's just put that on the table on a shelf right now. So, and so what we do right now, everybody that's listening out there, to Patriots Inside the Wires, we got our music. Music is how I do the medicinal part. This is how we come down from the show. This is where we show you what we're all about as far as music. Because be looking for Patriot Fest, be looking for concert, be looking for multiple things that we have going on, as well as Venue Magazine. So Venue Magazine is back. I've committed myself back to some things that I was doing, and that is on its way. So reviews, whether it's music, food, you name it. Went into a restaurant today, and that I actually got paid to do that, everybody. So before, people were turning on a social media and said, let's go live and review something, and that's okay. That's cool. But I actually got a paycheck for it. So now what we're looking for are sponsors out there. But what we do have is a great team. So PITW. This guy. I see it, Jeremy. You're welcome to get in touch with me anytime. Oh yeah, I know. I think I know what you're talking about there. You are always welcome to message me. We're gonna go to SWAT right now. SWAT, what are we feeling tonight?
Well, in honor of our friend Andrew and all the firefighters out there, especially in New York, we just want to say thank you, and not just to them out there, but of course to all of our first responders, EMTs, police officers, and of course all our servicemen and women out there, and our veterans.
Space Force.
Everybody who puts their life on the line for this great country every day. We just want to say thank you for everything y'all do every day. This is a little song I wrote with a few of my friends. It's actually about New York, and we actually kind of wrote it in honor of 9/11, but it's a little bit different spin on it. So this one's called
Okay.
This one's called the Heart of the City.
Got it.
We was chilling in the NYC under the man-made stars on 34th Street looking up. I remember you saying, damn, that could be us. And I said something like, that's sweet and nice, but girl, you don't have to wish on those pretty city lights. I've got you right here, right now. Just look up under those skyscrapers up in the clouds, that you and I never coming down on the street signs let us see us, so it's gotta be right. Right on track like a subway train, a Broadway kiss in the pouring rain, making magic on a Manhattan night. The heart of the city beats, beats. The heart of the city beats. You remember the horns from the taxi cabs, felt like a pep rally cheering a song like that. You and me, New Year's Eve, one knee in Times Square, and you said yes. Under those skyscrapers up in the clouds, that you and I never coming down. Every street sign let us see us, so it's gotta be right. Right on track like a subway train, a Broadway kiss in the pouring rain, making magic on a Manhattan night. The heart of the city beats, beats. The heart of the city beats, beats. The heart of the city beats. Under those skyscrapers up in the clouds, that you and I never coming down. Every street sign let us see us, so it's gotta be right. Right on track like a subway train, a Broadway kiss in the pouring rain, making magic on a Manhattan night. The heart of the city beats, beats. The heart of the city beats, beats. The heart of the city beats, beats. The heart of the city beats.
Heart of the city. There's always a beat.
Thank you so
Heartstrings.
much out there, y'all. And
Heartstrings.
big, yeah, well, you know what? Big shout out and thanks to the Psychic Firefighter, Mr. Andrew. It was so great to have him on. And thank you all for joining us in tonight. I know it's a little different than what y'all are used to, but that's how we do it here in Patriots Inside the Wire.
Right. We've got, listen, tonight, veteran, fire, every branch you could think of just throughout his family. Not to mention, you know, we're here too. We're here every week on what we call Warrior Wednesday. We are going to be starting up some things soon about songwriting. It's very medicinal. So maybe I will take some advice on that whole meditation thing. I kind of got to go that way up there. But I'm not against it. And I think I might try it. I'll figure it out. I'll be back in touch with you, Andrew. Definitely. And for everyone that's listening, Patriots Inside the Wire, in order for it to be successful, takes, if you're tuning in, it's just like for a musician, we really need you to like, subscribe to what you're watching, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Facebook, just click it, literally. Like all you have to do is click like, share, and get this to your friends. But if you're on YouTube and you just click it and you don't go through it, let's just put it as a artist, right? SWAT. We got SWAT, for instance, right here. He sings literally on every show. Not only does he do that, but he also has his own, like on Spotify. If you go in there and you just listen, it does not help the artist. It does not help us with anything, but it does when you take that music and you put it in a playlist and you're like, yeah, I want this one. And that's what it is in the digital world today. So our digital company, as far as PR, marketing, advertising, we've cornered it. We've decided to go back to our roots and team up here for you. So if you have an interest in your company, your story, or something you'd like from us, go to patriotsinsidethewire.com. There is a form. You can fill that out and you can let us know, if you're wanting to be on the show. But number two, start thinking about those sponsors. Start thinking about maybe you want your company to be a business where it is represented by veterans and it is represented by Gold Star families. So you got it right here. We do have two wonderful other individuals that make this happen. Mr. Bird himself, I want to say thank you. And I don't even know how to say his last name, but I'm going to say JT for now, which is JMT Productions. So none of that is with a paycheck. That is all us trying to help. But we have a lot coming. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for what is coming up for you. Patriot Fest. Don't forget about that. I know you hear me talk about music all the time. We're going to play our exit, which is by the little brother of Two Step, my son. And they will say bye to you. But take a listen here at the end after you see this picture that says like, subscribe, and share. Please like, subscribe, and share. That is what it means. And then listen to a little brother who's trying to do a cadence for his big brother that SWAT is going to make sure our songs coming in. We are working on all of that. So, hey, if you're someone in the music business and you think, you know what, maybe we'll have a few different things that we pull in, like to the intro. SWAT's there with the studio. We've got a lot of different things we can talk about with you. So get in touch with us. You can see us right here, either SWAT or I. There is the website, but we're easy to find. So we're very, very easy to find, whether that's SWAT. It's John SWAT Music out there. You've got johnswatband.com. I mean, all over the place. You got social media, you name it. So we are easy to find. Here it comes. Your like, subscribe, and share. And that is why I'm just pushing this on everybody, because just like an artist, a show cannot grow and it cannot go to another level without the help of every one of you. You ask me all the time, what can we do to help? What can we do to help the fallen? What can we do to help the families? I'm telling you right now, a really easy way is help us grow this show, get the right sponsors. We have it going in the right spot. We're going to have a lot of surprises for you coming up. And we want you to be on the ground floor. So thank you for being with us. But listen to this. Stay tuned.
Thank you for watching another episode of Patriots Inside the Wire, hosted by Gold Star mom, Tracy Two-Step. Help us broaden our reach. Like, subscribe, and share.
Outside, let's start out my brother Two-Step.
And there you have it. Sergeant Adam, my brother, Two-Step. SWAT, great night. That song was perfect for tonight. I mean, I thought that it went great. So it's good to see you. It's good to have the music that helps me when we're going into these heavy topics. So for everyone out there, get in touch. Jeremy, I see a couple of your messages there. I'm pretty curious. Send us a message. But what you mean about on Sunday, I'm very open to hearing and very curious, actually. So for everyone out there, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for helping us grow and show that we can become a community together that is kind and bring together, whether it's our veterans with our Gold Star families connecting back to a home base, whether it's whatever first responder, fire, police, Space Force, you name it. We are a community, and we need to be that community that represents and stands by that oath. And not just the oath, but for me, it's up there. And I'm not saying that has to be for everyone, but what I'm saying is it's pretty easy. And what that means is, kindness, agree to disagree, and be proactive and do no harm. Again, shout out to Amy Cotta at Memories of Honor for that one on Do Not Harm. I keep using her term, and it's so nice. So again, Patriots Inside the Wire, Wednesday Warriors. Stay tuned. What's coming up with our songwriting and concerts, but get in touch with us while you can, because we have a lot coming up. And if you feel like you want to be a part of that, you got to get a hold of us pretty soon here. So we're really excited about what's to come tonight. Enjoy the rest of your night, whether you're listening to this tomorrow and it's being uploaded or the next day. It usually takes 24 hours as audio. Then you can go back and look at the video if you'd like, always on YouTube or somewhere. But again, we are working on several things. Hey, SWAT, it's been a good night. It's been a great time. Andrew is, he's just like a good soul, right? So I knew when I first met him that I was like, I really want him to come for other people. And so I had already pre-interviewed him before. And I just knew, like, and I wanted to show everyone that we can all come together. And that's what it's about, right? It's supposed to be about that. That's what I would like. If you don't like that, then you don't have to watch the show or do anything. But if we've helped you in any way, we hope that you share the stories. We hope that you share our site, Patriots Inside the Wire. Warrior Wednesday, singer-songwriter is going to come back. I can't wait. SWAT, Patriot Fest, can't wait. I want to see you in that arena. Can't wait. So that's what we're about over here. Music is medicinal. Not only that, we never know. Listen, you never know what you're going to get over here. You got, I can tell you that, SWAT, do you think that you would have been on a show that last week might have been about this subject, and now we're over here on this subject? So as we go from the commissioner and everything that's happening with gasandgroceries.us, everybody out there, gasandgroceries.us, check that out. And then you go over here and we're talking about Ground Zero, and we're going over, the subject of a psychic medium. But I can tell you, Andrew is a kind soul. So thank you so much for joining us. Tune in again next Wednesday, and thank you for all that you do, and all of you that have served or are serving. We say thank you in every capacity in Patriots Inside the Wire. Good night. We hope you have a great rest of the week with Patriots Inside the Wire.